G'day boys and girls, how we going? Silly Swagman here on another episode of the Alton Edit. Today we've got Rod, the man behind the YouTube channel Rokkit Kit. How we going, Rod?
Hey,
you good, mate? Welcome to my cabin.
Yeah, no, it's lovely.
Look, I really want to sort of hear a lot more about the channel because I'm just a new subscriber, so there you go. I want to hear more about your story though, and like where you grew up.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. So, in your own words.
Where I grew up. All right. Well, I guess it sort of starts. I guess that's the basic sort of beginning of the channel, isn't it? So, I grew up in Sydney, down a place called Coogee, so on the sort of the eastern suburbs beaches.
Yep.
Pretty regular kind of suburb, but always near the water, that's what the special part of it was. My family always loved the water. My dad was sort of an avid spear fisherman and fisherman. Yep. He loved casting off the rocks and things like that. So we just go down to like the local like Clovelly car park and
it's a nice place there.
Yeah,
nice place.
No, it is pretty special. It's funny, I take it for granted, but only when I took my wife back to visit and she'd not done much in Sydney did I actually start to appreciate how special it is. You know, and all the beautiful cliffs and everything that you've got there. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I used to go and watch Dad sort of launch slugs and things off the cliffs, and I'd always sort of want to be a part of it. So as we grew up, we had a boat in the family as well, so I was just lucky to sort of be exposed to all that kind of thing, you know what I mean? In and out of the harbour, on the outside and in, like Dad would just, just get me out there, so
Nice.
And then I guess, well, if we continue on, I guess there's a bit of a lull in between, say, me just being really enthusiastic about fishing and spearfishing, and then I got sort of probably into my 20s and things like that, and then just the focus changes. And friends change. Went through a bit of a period where fishing and outdoory kind of stuff was not the focus, and just did a lot of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life kind of stuff, different jobs. Eventually went back to college after a heap of hospitality and things like that. Yeah. And then for some reason, I think I had a decent job at the time, but then the girlfriend I had at the time left. She went overseas and then I had nothing to do, and I had a mate that was living up at the Gold Coast and he said, why don't you just come up here? So I quit my job, went up, and then that's when the real, like the crazy fishing kind of side of things sort of picked up and it all sparked off again. Like I really wanted to do it more. It's just such like Queensland just brings out, if you're into the outdoors, especially water sports, it just brings it out of you because it's just all around you all the time and you're right on the coast. So as soon as I got up there, found kayak fishing. For some reason, I guess because I was a graphic designer at that stage, I wanted a reason to upload videos or some reason to edit videos, but I had nothing in particular to do. So got there, started uploading a few for mates, needed anywhere to put the video just so I could link it to forums and things like that. I had no intention of starting a YouTube channel as such. Just wanted to show my mates and do trip reports on a forum, so you needed somewhere to embed it.
So it's almost like a resume as well.
But like it's just funny, like like the forum kicks it off because you got a couple of hundred people that'll watch it straight off the bat, and then next thing you know, I was like, oh, there's a few people watching the videos, and then it's like, oh, hang on, maybe a few more, and then all of a sudden, like YouTube started to become a thing. I was like, hey, I can pay for some fishing gear, and then maybe a bit more than fishing gear, and then all of a sudden it got to a stage where I could do it as a job. So yeah, I guess that's a quick run through.
So it was almost like the start of the YouTube channel was almost in a way like content for other people, and then in the end it ended up being for yourself, really. Yeah,
well, I guess originally it was just it's just a hobby, isn't it? So like I was doing it because I just wanted, it was my hobby and I wanted to do it. And I loved, say, bringing a fish home for the family. That was always the biggest focus. Like, I was out there to have fun, but I was also like, in my mind, the goal is when I'm fishing to catch a fish to eat, okay? It's not just to go and catch one and brag about it. It's to catch it, bring it home and feed the family. So that satisfaction was always there. So I guess the hobby in that regards is just what I like to do. But then obviously the video thing and people watching more of it, that sort of has taken over a little bit. And it's changed the focus a little bit, but essentially I try and keep the trips so I'm still focused on actually catching a fish to eat during that trip. So the focus and the love of it still remains, and that's like that's how I try and keep it sort of interesting for myself as well. And just even going to new places now, it's opened up a whole new thing. But I guess that's a whole new question or topic, I guess. But yeah, no, it's been interesting how it sort of followed on.
That's cool. Like we were talking about it earlier. It's like a common theme for something that you're passionate about. Is just like the great basis for like a YouTube channel because it's so easy to pour so much of yourself into it. And another common thing seems to be having that lull where you sort of grow up, you've got all these hobbies that you're really into because of like family influence or whatever. And then, you sort of, as you become an adult, your early sort of 20s, you're trying to work out like the career move. And so you sort of lose a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But it's really cool that you managed to, through like, a bit of loss, like, your girlfriend, whatever, moving on. Yep. And you're going up with your mate and spending all that time in the outdoors, it sort of led you to this channel that you've got now and like all the success of it. With the name, like what's behind the name?
The name. The name has been a bit of a pain because so originally, my name's Rod. So a couple of mates would call me Rokkit Rod and things like that.
Yeah.
As a nickname in the beginning, but then when you do graphic design course, it's a very uninteresting story, by the way. But we're going to stick at it.
I need to know.
I'll do the very quick version of you need some, like I think at design college they get you to start up a fake little freelance kind of business. Right. So if you do freelance work, you can use that name and you've got a little business to start off as soon as you get out of college. And I did that, and I actually did start using it as my freelance business name. So I went and registered it at the Department of Fair Trading. This is back before computers, where you actually had to go into the city and register it with a person. And you're standing at the counter, and she said, "Oh, you can't use Rokkit." And I said, "Oh, well, what if I change the name, like the spelling?" And so she goes, "Well, no, it's too close to a few other names, like business names." So I changed the spelling to Rokkit, and then as a last-ditch effort to get this name through, I thought, well, what if I just put Kit at the end of it, and then I can double up the logo, because the logo already, I could just mirror that image, and I sort of got away with just using Rokkit, and I was like, in my mind, I was just going to still just say Rokkit, and then Kit was there somewhere. I could get away with that, and she said yes. So I did it, and then literally so this is a graphic design business, and the slogan was Rokkit Kit, Graphic Design and Nice Persons Club. That's where the Nice Persons Club comes from.
Okay, right, gotcha.
So that was the slogan, and the design business was up and running by that stage, and then I just needed somewhere on YouTube just to upload videos. So I just wanted to comment on other people's videos, so I made the avatar Rokkit Kit based off the graphic design business. And then I got stuck with it, because by the time it started picking up momentum, and I didn't really have any intention of turning it into a YouTube channel, by that stage I was known as Rokkit Kit, and that was that. So I've never changed it. I thought here and there of changing it to I don't know, Rokkit Fishing or just something completely different, but that's the name now.
I think it's cool because it's unique, and it if you don't know, you don't know, but it's cool that the story, it all sort of intertwines with how even the channel itself wasn't intended to be what it is now. And everything just sort of naturally fell into that place. And I think that's cool. And you do have a little story for it.
Yeah. And that's why the nice thing fits in. That's why everything of mine's branded nice, because it's the Nice Persons Club.
Yeah, I was wondering because
that's how it fits in.
Right, because I haven't watched too many videos, but the ones I have, I was like, okay, it's got a little nice saying here. What is this? Okay, cool. All right, that's interesting. In terms of your content and just creation and channel, what are the biggest struggles with it? Not just editing, but just running it in general, and what are the highlights for you? What do you really get out of it?
Yeah, well, since it's become a job, I guess what I get out of it is just that it's just like a constant drive just to improve it as a job in general, I guess. But I still try and always make sure that I'm getting something like the satisfaction of it being my hobby as well, and I'm obviously conscious of that. It's a very just through sheer competition and just wanting to stay relevant and everything, it's definitely a different world in that regards of just constantly trying to reinvent what you do and try and stay relevant in some form. So there's definitely challenges there. But I think the fact that I still enjoy it makes it a little easier. You know what I mean? I think, and I keep finding new places and new things sort of come up. And it's been a sort of a natural progression, moving through, say, different craft, from kayaks to boats and inflatables and even sailing boats and things like that. So there's been a nice progression that's kept me still interested. And I'm at the end of the day, I'm doing things that when you're a kid, you dream of going to a deserted island.
Yes.
And you think, would I be all right there? Could I do it? Could I even get there? Is there even such a place? And then once you get up here, you realise there is such a place. I couldn't believe you could actually find a little island, maybe 400 metres across, that you could walk across, that you could fish off, sit there, just hang out, and no one else is on there.
Yeah,
it's a pretty amazing feeling. Man. So I guess the being able to do something like that is a no-brainer as to like, you know, I'm ticking off the goal of am I finding it interesting and still being able to do it and things like that. Like, so it's great, yeah. But yeah, there's definitely a serious element of it now. You know, I've got kids and a family. I've got to, you know, I've got to put food on the table, and that's definitely a part of it as well. So I do approach it a little bit more like a job, I guess, in some respects. But you know, you're so at the whim of weather and things like that that you kind of focus so much on just the real life getting there that the rest just sort of follows on. You know what I mean? It kind of does it for me. Yeah. Just the event. I guess, and because they're real adventures and not like just set up kind of one-off kind of fun skits or fun, like survival challenges. They're not little challenges, because I try and keep it like there's space for the odd one of those as well. But I guess because they're real adventures, the adventure just dictates how it all goes. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I've got to actually do it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
And I love that you're talking about how like as a child you dream of doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think what's so cool about YouTube and channels just like yours is now kids growing up, they don't just have this like fantasy sort of like in a book or whatever about going and doing these things.
Yeah.
They've got all these YouTubers going, oh, you can actually just go and do these things.
You
just got to you just got to do it.
Yeah.
You just got to commit to it. But I think that's one of the cool things.
Yeah.
Have you had any people reach out to you just saying like maybe they've found motivation through watching your channel, or you've helped them in some way get back out there, or?
Yeah, no, it's like I'm every day I'm blown away by I'm lucky to have a really nice community, and I guess it's the way I've tried to play it as well, because obviously like I keep it nice in that respect. No swearing, carrying on, and definitely no over the top reactions and stuff like that. I'm quite anti that. I just want to be. I want to be the guy that, say, if my kids are watching YouTube and it's a forever battle, I want to be the guy that my kids, I'm happy, or I'm not telling them to turn it off because the guy's carrying on like a bit of a goose. Okay, so that's how I'd like my channel and what I'd like my kids to watch. So that's why I try and keep it just reasonable. You know what I mean? And just like a real person, not a fake YouTuber basically, or not over the top. It's just like a real person actually doing this stuff. And that's, I think, in my mind, that's what YouTube always was. It was like a regular guy getting out there and doing it, and other people sharing an interest. And I guess that brings it back to the community that it sort of has developed within those parameters. Is they're nice people that share an interest. They're genuinely pretty reasonable people, most of the people in my community. And so when I get like comments of people that have sort of cottoned on, or they might be in a position where they just cannot get to the ocean, for instance. So they can live through these videos of a real person doing it, not like a production team producing someone doing it, but an actual real person just getting out there. And I make mistakes. I get it wrong sometimes. I get caught out in weather and make silly decisions, and it's all there for people to see. So it's a proper adventure that people can follow on. And then I guess I'm getting away from the topic, but yeah. So I'm always forever like blown away by the amount of people that do get in contact and say, one really nice positive things to me in regards of just that they've had, say maybe they've, even through COVID and things like that.
Yeah, that was a big one.
And just being locked down and not being able to get out and do these things themselves, and they've had such a positive, it's had a positive impact in them being able to sort of feel like they're still in touch with getting out there and doing adventures. But all kinds of things, from people that have been sick and that are stuck in hospital, people that have lost the ability to do some of the things that we're still doing, things like that. And just general nice people that are just saying thanks and stuff. And it's a weird one, because in my mind, I'm not doing anything that I wouldn't have been doing, I guess. So
you're just sharing it now.
Yeah, but I'm sharing it now for people to see, and it's definitely amazing to see how many people can relate and appreciate even just having that kind of entertainment, I guess. And it's a very positive experience most of the time.
The videos that I've watched, you come across really genuine, as you said. You're just being yourself, and it makes you feel real, just like happy to watch it. And this guy's not being theatrical. You're almost just along for the ride with a good dude, which is sort of exactly what it is, I guess.
Right.
And it's really enjoyable to watch. And I was reading through some of the comments, and you've definitely got like a really sort of tight-knit community there.
Yeah.
And I think it is, you sort of have a bit of almost like a role model effect there. in that you are trying to just keep it so genuine, and you're not out there to do anything crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, and you've pretty much answered it. That was you made a point of wanting to keep it that way to show that you didn't have to be crazy about it.
Yeah. Well, that's what real people do when they're out there doing it. It's like, you know, all of the over top stuff is just, that's like you said, it's theatrical. It's pushing it upon people. It doesn't need that most of the time. Like you're in amazing places. You're doing amazing things, and the goal is to catch a fish. Like it doesn't. I don't need to carry on silly to do it.
That's enough, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
that's what it was about.
Are,
exactly.
The excitement of the hunt.
Exactly.
And okay, so what's a trip that you're excited for in the future, or one that you want to make happen?
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. Like still, new boats and new crafts have opened up a few new things. So I'm definitely keen to I did a film festival recently, and I had one hell of a time. Just struggled with fish, struggled with the setup of the festival in general. I sort of gave myself a bit of a handicap in regards of just smaller boat, no crew, trying to film it solo. There was so much wrong that went crazily wrong, weather, I can't even express to you, but that film kind of got locked up into the festival, so I can't release any of it.
Oh wow, okay.
So it was 10 days of non-stop. I fished so hard, I drove all the way up to the top of Australia to do it, because my boat's so small I couldn't get to the outer reef any other way. So I want to reenact that trip. I want to go on the trip with the new boat though, so I'll have a bit more of a, you know what I mean, I'll be in a better position to do a better job at it.
You've got the experience from the first run.
So I'd love to reenact that trip and show everyone the journey, go through, tell them what happened, and then I can even show some clips from that, you know, but I'm not allowed to re-release the film, so it'll be interesting to do that trip. But there's so much more, there's so many islands, and this new boat will open up the opportunity to go to so many new islands that I haven't been to, a bit further out, and bigger adventures.
That's sick. So you've got a trip to South Africa coming up. Do you want to explain that to us? What's that going to entail?
That's going to be an exciting trip for sure. So starting off, the kayak, I guess the basis of the whole channel originally was on kayak fishing. So, there's one kayak sort of that stands out as a particularly good kayak for this kind of area, which is like surf break. You've got to get through to surf launch. Right. So and I've used that particular kayak, like stealth kayaks. I've used that kayak for, you know, my whole kind of, or in the beginning I was on a few other things as well, but I've basically used that all the way through till even now I still have one. So the guy has got in contact and says they run this big kayak fishing comp in South Africa, and that's where the skis are made. Right. So there's been an opportunity that hopefully has come up, and we're still in the throes of sort of nutting it out, but it looks like it's definitely going to happen. But they've got a big kayak fishing comp coming up, and they basically travel from where they make them down in the factory, and they travel all the way up to Mozambique, and then fish that area. So so it should be a pretty cool trip, and amazing trip for me, just even filming wise, it's going to be amazing, and I'm just going to get a buzz out of just being in, you know, such a cool and different country. That should be pretty exciting. But just getting to fish these places, I've seen people catching these monster fish. Since I started, you'd search on YouTube and try and find and there wasn't much content at the time, so you'd be searching for stuff like this. And now just the idea that I should be able to go and do it and do that trip is going to be pretty special.
And deliver that content that you were looking for.
Is there
a time frame for how long this paddle would be, or?
So we don't paddle the whole way. So we drive up to Mozambique, and then it's a daily trip, but you camp out at the place. Gotcha. And then you don't they run the comp from there. But
cool. Okay.
But the drive up, it's pretty exciting, even just changing through the countries.
Where you're doing the fishing. Is this a pretty gnarly bit of water, or what's the? In terms of
it's a very
wildlife
fishy bit of water. But look, I haven't been there, so I'm actually not 100% sure, to be honest. But I've seen pictures of guys, and what they catch there, and it does look like a very, very lively and active sort of area with all kinds of wildlife. But it should be once you get out of, I guess, the city and get on that drive up. Wildlife on land as well as on water it should all be there.
That's cool.
I think.
See what happens.
If
you had advice for anybody looking to getting into fishing, spear fishing, anything, whether they're just young or you know, they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. Where should they start? I know it's a pretty broad question.
Yeah. Oh,
like, where could they go to like sort of find out what gear they need and things like that?
Yeah. Oh well, I guess the first place to go is somewhere like YouTube and just start seeing what's out there. You know what I mean? There's usually a guy in your area kind of thing that's doing it already.
Yeah.
And then you might be able to sort of see if you can, you know, like maybe you could even try and get in contact with them. I get like thousands of messages of people asking where I am. I'm happy to answer most of them as well. You know what I mean? Like obviously I can't get through them all, and sometimes I can't. But in general, like I'm happy to sort of help people get started. And like I think some people, they have this idea in their head that it needs a lot of money. Like even especially now on the channel, because obviously crafts have gotten bigger, the fishing gear's gotten fancier because I've got help from people, and because it's now my job, I can invest in getting better gear. But honestly, half the stuff I use still now is on a shoestring. You know what I mean? Like if something breaks, I fix it. I don't just buy a new one. Like so. In a lot of the stuff, if you look closely at the videos, like half the stuff is pretty dodgy. You know what I mean? Like, and it's changing, I guess, over time. It's changing now into something else. But there's still the opportunity to do those trips.
Yeah.
You know, like I was doing them in an inflatable boat, you know, that cost a couple of $1,000, and I could still do it relatively safely, and you know, like cheap gear still did the job. You know what I mean? It got me through, and I just was clever about how I used it.
Yeah.
And so I was still doing pretty adventurous stuff and doing those trips on a shoestring. So don't get it in your mind that you need to spend a lot of money. Like you can do it in a lot of different ways. And then, you know, and if you can, you know, slowly improve on that, and, you know, the gear gets fancier, or you get an opportunity to sort of invest more in it, and you found that you really like it, then, you know, then you improve on that. But there's no reason why you can't get out in all of these spots. And I've found that even going back to see places where I grew up, I get just as much enjoyment doing videos there, like in Sydney, just mucking around on the rocks in the harbour, whether it's spearfishing or fishing and just mucking around with a mate. I can have just as good a trip and an adventure there, and that would cost nothing, you know, for the average Joe. He can just get down there. It's just getting out there and just like investing some time and just figuring out what you need, some basic gear, and just getting down there and doing it. And then it's a real adventure as well, because you're doing it like, you're winging it a little.
Fully.
It's like, what do they say? Like, it's only when things go wrong that the real adventure begins.
Yeah, that's
so you got to go and just give it a crack. And if it doesn't work out, then you had an adventure. Otherwise, you just sort of stuck to the textbook, and it was just, you know, you did it. But
I love it. In your content, I notice like you're often saying you're tinkering with something in the garage or whatever, and you thought, I'm just using bits and pieces that I've already got. And I think that's really important, because like, you've got a nice boat now, but like you said, you didn't start off with that. And you've been in the game a long time, so you've got the nice boat, but even now you're still just using bits and pieces that you've got to make it work, which I think is really important. However, let's say you had money was not an issue, time away from home was not an issue, distance, whatever. What would be, is there like an ultimate trip that is at the moment is sort of unachievable that you would just love to be a part of? Or do yourself, like?
Look, there's a lot that comes to mind, and like, and a lot of travel overseas comes to mind. But I guess, wouldn't it be cool? Like I bought a sailboat, like I've got one, and it's proven to be very difficult because of exactly those factors, like time. It's too much time away from the family. No one will let you leave it anywhere unless you're on it.
Right.
So and it's not safe to leave it anywhere unless, like, at anchor for any extended period of time. So you've got to have a mooring. You know, there's a lot of stumbling blocks there. Insurance, no one will insure you unless you've got a mooring in a safe, out of the cyclone belt area. So, but I guess the idea of that is that ultimate adventure. It's like the ultimate freedom. Like a plane isn't even the same as a sailboat in my mind, because you're still governed by so many rules. But on a sailboat, you can go anywhere in the world. That sailboat, it's only small, but it's capable of going anywhere in the world. So it's the ultimate freedom, it's the ultimate trip. So I guess at some stage in my life, maybe not with this boat, but it's a good one to learn and just get a feel for it. But maybe down the track, maybe just jump on a boat that's capable and just disappearing. And then maybe when the kids get old enough and they can appreciate that, and they're big enough to be on their own, maybe that's the trip. Maybe who knows where you'd end up on it. Like you could go anywhere around the world in it. So
I'm feeling motivated right now. I love the sound of that. That's like that full romantic adventure off into the sunset sort of idea. Hey?
And there's no one on a boat, and I see them all the time. I see them up on these islands I go to. I might go like 60 k's out, and then a sailboat will just turn up just before dawn.
Yeah.
They'll anchor up, you know, and they've usually come from somewhere close enough. But some of them have been on the water, travelling right around the whole of Australia. They might have even come from overseas, and you just see them pull up. You never know where they've been, but the beauty of it is there's no one checking up on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's you. Like, and there's no rules. Like you don't have to get back to, you know, fill up even. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can get around. You do need some basic things like a bit of fuel and provisions, but it just seems so free. You're out on the ocean. There's no one there to govern what your decisions are, and that to me is pretty much the ultimate journey or adventure. Sorry, that sounded corny, but that would be the ultimate like goal, I guess.
Yep.
In a big sort of a big special journey.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Rokkit Kit, the YouTube channel, basically think anything like fishing, watercraft.
Any watercraft, anything.
Does it all, mate?
Yeah. Well, it's just dictated by stuff that I want to do.
Yeah.
And I like every new craft, every new decision, from sailboat, boat, whether I went in a four-wheel drive somewhere instead of taking, instead of going in the kayak, for instance, or something like that.
Yeah.
There's always a bit of pushback because people push back against the change and thinking that the channel's going to change. But I think hopefully at the end of the day, I'm still the one doing it and people can appreciate that. And I think we can like more than one thing at a time. So, and it's got to be interesting for me as well. So I think we just, and for the new viewers, like I said at the beginning, I guess trying to stay relevant and try new things. But I'd be wanting to try new things myself anyway, whether YouTube was there or not. So I guess it's just a natural progression, and it's all documented as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, mate, I wish you all the best, and I'm keen to go check out more of your videos. So thanks for joining me in the cabin, dude.
Not at all.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. Cheers. Thank you.